Hello and welcome to A Gypsy's Kiss, the book club. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Stick with us for a couple of seconds and you'll come back and we can play marbles.
And we're back.
We are indeed.
We're going to play some marbles, I hear.
Yeah, we are. So I want to do a couple of things. First of all, I noticed that Joel Lewicki's already in the house. Joel is not only one of our moderators, but Joel, I wanted to say thank you for that commentary that you added to my program from yesterday discussing the issue of liability of the treasure finder. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I didn't know, maybe I did know. I'm not sure I knew you were an attorney, but no, I understand we don't have a client-attorney relationship as a result of your commentary. Thank you. So, what are we doing today?
Today we're going to be talking about The Thrill of the Chase, Chapter 6, My Spanish Toy Factory. It's a short chapter, a couple of drawings. So we'll get to it and we'll have some stuff to say about it.
Actually, I'm going to correct you. It's only one drawing, but...
Oh.
Well, I'll explain that
Okay.
when we go on. So there was one other thing. Oh, I want to sometime during, just before we start Q&A, I want to give everybody a test.
Ooh.
Well, it's not.
There's a test today. Hope you brought your books and you're ready. Is it an open book test?
It is effectively an open book test. What are we drinking
What are we
today?
drinking? Today we have Love Block.
Love Block.
This is Sauvignon Blanc, or Sauv Blanc, as they call it some places.
Sauv Blanc.
It's a wine from New Zealand.
The Marlborough country of New Zealand.
And it's one of our favorites. We found it at a local restaurant, and we've enjoyed it ever since.
And the difference between finding it at a local restaurant and buying it at Albertsons is that the local restaurant's going to charge you $60 for the bottle, and Albertsons is going to charge you $20. But it really is, we highly recommend this particular Sauvignon Blanc. It's very, very good.
It's got a
fruity pineapple thing. What do you get?
Yeah, pineapple, a little bit of grapefruit, but
Yeah,
not too
highly recommended.
sour. If you like Sauvignon Blanc,
Sauvignon Blanc.
I think you'd like it.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't cheers. We didn't toast or anything.
Here's to the doubling our channel in size before the end of the year.
Woohoo! At least. Salud.
It's a lot better than those.
Salud.
That's a lot better than those plastic champagne glasses.
Real tinks.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get to housekeeping?
We shall.
Housekeeping. Thank you to our moderators today. Again, we have Joel Lewicki in the house, man in the barn, and hoping that Jimmy Fast will come by. He did do moderator duties for us last night. We appreciate that. Today's presentation will be followed by a Q&A. We like to start off with your questions relating to the chapter and anything in the book from before the first part of the book that we've already covered. Anything later in the book, we'll get to it when we get to it.
When we get to it, yeah, exactly.
Are we going to do any other question and answer? Are we going to keep this to an hour? What are we doing on that?
I don't know. I always, I say we're going to do an hour, and then I just have so much fun with a Q&A. Let's try and keep it to an hour because it is short. And then if they just go crazy with questions, we'll answer the questions.
Okay.
And keep in mind that YouTube has now granted us the blessing of live chat replay. So we're not recording the live chat today, but once YouTube processes our video and puts it up online, you'll see the live chat replay along with it once, as I said, it was processed. So if you'd like to contribute to our project, one way to do that is to use Super Chat. The Super Chat $ down at the bottom of the window. If you're on your desktop, you have to scroll down on your smartphone in order to reach it. But if you click on that Super Chat button, it'll open another window with a blue bar that gives you the opportunity to make sure you know what you're doing. So click on the blue bar for Super Chat, and then depending on the amount that you select using the blue ball, you slide that from right to left. It goes from $1 all the way up to $500, and from green all the way to a kind of magenta red color, the higher you go. We also ask that you take a second step when you do that and ask a question. If you're going to go through all the trouble of contributing to our project, you might as well ask a question as well. And it goes right to the top of the screen, and it stays up there for an amount of time equal to the contribution. So if you contributed $1, it stays up there for 60 seconds, and if it goes up $500, we see it the whole time. So it's a good way.
And probably for weeks on end.
That's right. We actually save a copy and we frame it, put it on our wall.
Keep in contact with us. Of course, as you probably already know, you can find us on YouTube at gypsieskiss.tv. Click on the bell to receive our notifications whenever we go live or when we put out a new video. We are also putting out a blog, as you may know, at gypsieskiss.com, and you can subscribe to the blog so that you'll be notified when we do updates. We're on Instagram at _gypsies_kiss. And I just put out a little notification today that said that we would be here today at 1 o'clock to remind everybody. So it's also a nice little reminder and an outreach for us on Instagram. At Twitter, you'll find us at @gypsies. On Facebook, you'll see us at A Gypsy's Kiss. We have a Facebook page there. And you can write to us at agypsieskiss@gmail.com. And for those of you looking for my personal channel, www.thesofterside.me. I did put out a new video today called We Need to Talk, and it's pretty cool. I also have a Patreon club that you can join, and that's available to you if you take a look at the videos and my YouTube channel. Then it'll take you to the Patreon as well.
That was very nice.
And when I hit $100 per month, I'm going to start doing live chat with Q&A from my channel.
From your YouTube channel or your Patreon account? Can you do it from Patreon?
My YouTube channel.
You know what you could do? You could actually use the Zoom channel to do that. It's harder. You have to have email addresses in order to do invitations, but that's available to you too because we already paid for it. We might as well use it. So if you're looking for another way, as if you need any more, to contribute to our project, you can go to our Zazzle account at zazzle.com @Gypsy's Kiss, and there you can buy a plethora of merchandise with the Gypsy's Kiss logo. We have actually a pair of logos. One is the standard one that you see, the round one that we designed, plus Shelley designed another for all the T-shirts and book bags at Zazzle. And that's the one that has the mountains on it. And tell me what it says again.
Look for me in the mountains somewhere north of Santa Fe.
Exactly. Straight from the book. How's that? So also available to you if you miss using Super Chat today, you can always go to our PayPal account. Bill Cross, you're a saint. Actually, you can't be a saint because I don't believe in saints. But if I did believe in saints, you're a saint. Thank you very much for your continued contribution. Use our PayPal account, paypal.me/Gypsy's Kiss. It's a safe way to contribute to our project. We actually like a little bit, well, I shouldn't say that. It's better for us than Super Chat because the proceeds aren't reduced by, like in paypal.me, they aren't reduced by the tremendous amount that
the YouTube charges just to put your name in a box and stick it on the top.
So
and don't forget to like our video.
Oh, there we go.
Right, there we go. Thumbs up on our video.
So,
and that tells YouTube that we have amazing viewers who love our channel and a wonderful community. So,
can I go back here for just a second? I noticed that Ryan said something. You're going to go through these names in a bit. So, Ryan, do you see Ryan?
Yeah.
Where's
great program last night.
Ryan, I just wanted to comment on that. You know what? We thought it was a great program too. Part of that, of course, is that we had Cynthia on Mike Cowling from Cow Lazars. So, and I don't know if I explained to everybody we had planned to have Sean Dodson on, but he was called away by work, so he won't be on this last week or this coming week, but he'll be back the week after that. In the meantime, Cynthia Meacham has agreed to join the panel on our show. So you'll see her for at least next week, and I'm going to try to convince her to become a permanent member of the panel.
At least until she moves off into Yellowstone land.
And RV park, right?
Yeah,
Is that where
it
she's
might be a
going?
little hard to
So,
connect at that point.
But it was a great show. We had a great time with it. We're still struggling a little bit with the audio because we're pulling audio in from so many locations. It's hard to get it all balanced, but we're going to work on that this week. And we'll have it even better the next time. So we look forward to continuing to refine that panel program. We're having a wonderful time with it. We think it's a great way to introduce members of the community. And I was going to ask you if you have any suggestions about anyone who you think would be a good idea to have on the panel. I'd like them not only to be searchers, I'd like them to be active searchers. That means boots on the ground, so that they can share that boots on the ground experience. So if you have any recommendations, just put them on the chat today, and I'll make sure I'll look for them and see if we can figure out to reach out to them. We're reaching out to a couple this week already, so that we can start working for next week. I don't have yeses from anyone, so I can't tell you. But by the time I make my Sunday here's lineup video for this week, I'll have somebody for you that you'll know who's going to be on the chat for next Wednesday. So are we ready to talk about the book?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go back to the full screen. Is that okay?
Yeah. You did have that one slide you wanted to share, though, right?
It's on here. It's not a slide. It's actually an image.
Oh.
On here.
Okay.
So it's going to overlay us for a couple of seconds.
Oh, okay.
But let's transition back to the full screen, since we don't need the slides right now.
Okay.
And I'm going to pop in the outro right there, so we're ready for it.
All right. So today's chapter, My Spanish Toy Factory, is located in The Thrill of the Chase, pages 32 and 33. And Toby is going to read from us from page 32, paragraph 1.
All right, and you're going to do the breakdown?
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to talk about some of the things that I found in the book afterwards. Not that you didn't find some of the same things. Page 32, paragraph 1. Like most kids my age, I was always hungry, but I didn't like to take a brown bag to school. There was just something about a dry sardine sandwich and a noisy apple that didn't appeal to me, so I spent most of my class time grinding marbles. Playing marbles at recess was a big deal in 1943. If I could find a good-looking rock during the next hour, I could grind it against a small sandstone slab that I always carried in my pocket. By the end of Spanish class, I had a pretty round marble that I could easily sell to one of the rich kids who always had a ride to school. It didn't hurt much that I was the grand marble champion of the 7th grade at Central Junior High. I made sure that all the girls knew about it.
Fenn remembers being hungry but not wanting anyone to make note of it, or that he didn't have money to buy lunch by bringing a sack lunch to school. He boasts that he could make a marble from a rock and sell it an hour later. Again, he mentions Spanish class. He also boasts of his marble playing abilities and that he attempted to attract girls using his fame and talent.
So before we go on to the next section, I'm going to give you your, I'm going to pretend I'm Miss Ford and give you an assignment, but I'm not going to do it in Spanish.
Okay.
So here's what I'd like.
Bueno.
Bueno. Bueno. That's a very good Anglo bueno.
Muy bueno.
Muy bueno. So here's the assignment that I'm going to give you while we're going through the rest of this. What I'd like you to do, assuming that you've actually read this chapter, I would like you to write down, the 5 words in this chapter, that stuck out to you, that when you left the chapter, you remembered those 5 words. So I'd like you to write them down on a slip of paper, and we're going to talk about those 5 words towards the end of today's presentation. Okay? Mm-hmm. Go on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So this is on page 31, paragraph 1. I'm sorry, page 32.
You just read that. Next page.
Oops, sorry. Page 33, paragraph 1. Quote, I was beginning to learn the value... Page 33, paragraph 1. Quote, I was beginning to learn the value of money and the advantage of a capitalistic system of government. Although it may not look like much now, it was a big deal to me then. My father was probably a little proud, and although I wasn't getting much education, I was sure getting experience. Any part of some is better than no part of any. I was beginning to like myself.
So as you probably recognized, that any part of some is better than no part of any is a Fennism that we often quote to each other. And sometimes we go searching for that quote because we can't remember the exact words. This Fennism is combined with an explanation of why he says it and where it comes from. Fenn felt that the thing he could do best to earn money, support his needs, and make his father proud was to create a product and sell it. Because he found something he was good at, enjoyed, and could earn him money, he learned to like himself. Fenn seems to be giving advice to other young men to do likewise. Of course, all the self-help books of his generation said the same thing.
So the only thing I thought was interesting about this particular chapter is the phrase, I was beginning to learn the value of money and the advantages of a capitalistic system of government. Capitalism is not a system of government. Democracy, republicanism, federalism, those are all systems of government. Capitalism is a system of economy. And I thought it was interesting that he made the distinction, but didn't go all the way to make the distinction that it was an economic system versus a capitalistic system. And the basis of the capitalistic system of economics is profitability. And that's what he was learning. So we don't run a government on capitalism because it's not a healthy way to run a government. Then you become Russia, basically.
Don't we?
Yeah, well, we try not to.
Well, if we're a democracy, we don't.
That's correct.
We'll leave it at that.
So, page 33, paragraph 2. When I walked the mile to school on cold mornings, my path took me right past the pie factory on First Street and French.
So is this just a memory, or is it some kind of hint when he keeps telling us cold mornings? This is not the first time he's said that phrase, cold mornings. And then First Street and French kind of stuck out to me. They both start with F, like Forrest Fenn, First and French. Just a little note.
Yeah. First in French and cold mornings. So. Page 33, paragraph 2, quote, I remembered the beautiful old gray-haired lady who did the cooking, unquote.
Fenn only describes women who did something special for him with fondness like this. She's the one that made the pies. She would make sure that he could afford to have those pies. She treated him as if she were his grandmother whenever he came in to see her. So, of course, that was very special to him, and he always remembered her for it.
It was interesting to me because I think this is the first time, where are we, chapter 6? Where he refers to a person of the opposite sex in a warm and healthy way. I don't remember him, up until this point, they've all been old biddies or mean to him or something like that. And to me, the point that she had done something for him endeared her to him, and he speaks of her in a very warm and what I think of as a healthy way. I don't think he's spoken of his mother in that way, in that positive way, in comparison.
Not
to
as glowing.
Yeah, not as glowing, because
he's always been positive about what he says about his mother, but
right.
Maybe not glowing.
No, this was like a change in positioning for him.
Well, and I think often we are that way with our grandparents because our grandparents only see us, well, back then especially, maybe it's a little different today, but our grandparents, when they would see us, they could be that special person in our lives who could do nice things for us. They didn't have to discipline us because that was our parents' job. And I know I think with Toby, he senses that he gets to get away with a little bit less disciplining of his grandchildren, so he can enjoy them more, and I'm sure they enjoy being around him as well.
Is that the same as spoiling, Jen?
You don't spoil.
No.
I've seen you. I don't, I think you still understand that they're children and spoiling them is wrong. And it's hard on the parents if you spoil them as well. But I think he felt like she was a grandmother type person to him. And he seems to be able to adopt people into his life in that way. Like you said, with Eric Sloan being a second father and this woman being like a grandmother,
figure.
that he doesn't have to have a blood relation to somebody in order to feel like they're family.
So did I read?
This on the bottom.
Okay. Page 33, paragraph 2. If I could find where she's buried, I do not say that word like that. If I could find where she's buried, I'd slip out there some dark night and push a nickel under her grave marker and just leave it there. Somehow I sense she'd know that that it is smiling down on me. Is that right? Somehow I sense she'd know that...
She knows.
That...
Somehow I sense she knows that is... And I wrote... Sorry about that. That's my fault.
Oh.
I was copying
my
out of the
book?
book. Here.
Let me take a real quick...
Fix
while
that.
you're go through your...
I had a little typo there.
Oh, correct. Go through your notes.
Somehow I sense she knows that and is smiling down on me.
Smiling down on me. Yeah,
that's what it should say. Fenn wanting to repay an old woman for her kindness by hiding money in the earth near her grave could be a hint to indicate why he hid the treasure where he did. Could he be repaying a kindness by hiding a treasure near where somebody he cared for either died or where he spent time with that person? Perhaps Eric Sloan. I'll be summing up the chapter at this point. Do you want to say anything before I do that?
Yes, I want to say a couple of things before your summary. And that is, the first is, there were several words in this chapter that stuck out to me. Spanish, nickel, pie, pineapple, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why I was asking people, also, we always discuss the aberrations that we might look for that might point us to clues. And the aberration that I found in here was the change in his behavior towards a woman, because up until this point, his behavior towards women has been more misogynistic than this one. In this case, for whatever reason, it could be that it was a grandmotherly figure, that she provided for him. There's a number of reasons he could have done that. But it was, to me, an aberrational point because it was very different from his behaviors prior to this. The next biggest thing that struck me about this chapter, I refer to it as the cheapo chapter. And the cheapo chapter is probably a better name for that.
2 for a nickel.
Exactly. So part of it, the part of it was the fact that this is the first chapter, and I think the last chapter, that doesn't have a subtitle, and it's not because it's shorter. There are other 2-page long chapters that we've already covered, and 2-page long chapters that will follow us. So it doesn't have a subtitle, and it didn't have a postmark. And then, and I'm gonna do the overlay here so you can see what I'm talking about. So one of the things that was really interesting to me was this image, and can I take my lower third? Let me take the lower third down for a second. Okay. So what was interesting to me about this image was that this is the image at the bottom of page 33. And you see some of the notes when I gave this to my transcriptionist to transcribe. I made notes so that she could make notes about what exactly I wanted. So when she made a note in the typewritten version that said on page 33, there's a graphic, and I called it Marble Boys. But when I was doing that, I realized that the graphic on page 33 is pretty much the same as the graphic on page 32, except that they added the 2 standing up boys. So if you look at it, the 2 kneeling down boys are exactly the same. The marbles are in the same position. The hand positions are exactly the same. And then they added it. So it was another way to, I don't know if it was actually a way to reduce expense, but it was interesting to me that instead of drawing a second graphic, they used exactly the same graphic, and then they either drew the graphic on page 33 and then erased part of it, or they drew the graphic on page 32 and then added to it. So that's kind of why I call this the chapter that they didn't spend very much money on. Is better than cheapo chapter.
Cheapo's more memorable, though.
Yeah, it is. The low budget chapter in the book.
Alrighty. Anything else?
No, that's it. That's
all right.
So you noticed you talked about the Fennism. We talked about the warm description of the woman that provided for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those were the big things for me. What?
I see what you're saying. I was you were saying there was only one drawing, and I said there was two. And your differentiation is this is the same drawing right underneath the title that they stretched it out and put it and then added the two boys.
The two standing up boys. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Makes sense.
Cheap.
Well, I don't know if it's because it's cheap or because he just wanted that picture on there twice for some reason. Or,
so I think
the same two boys every day.
There's a whole bunch of why questions. You know how I feel about why questions. Why is there no subtitle? Why is there no postmark? Why aren't there two different images of boys with marbles, etc.? And why did he choose the woman who provided for him to speak speak of her warmly, as opposed to women he had talked about in the past? So a bunch of why questions need to be answered.
So here's my summary. Here's another why. Why is this chapter called My Spanish Toy Factory? Because Fenn crafted the toys he sold during Spanish class. But is there more to it than that? Surely he only had Spanish with Miss Ford for 1 or 2 years at most. Would he have made those toys only during that time period, or would he have continued making them for as long as he was in school and had a customer base? What is the obsession we see with Spanish class about? That it is the only class he singles out among all the many classes he must have taken. The words Spanish and Ford seem to come up often enough to form a pattern of thought. That's my story.
I wasn't looking at you for that reason. I just realized that our lower third is the lower third that we had.
You switched it.
No, that's a new lower third, but I forgot that you're on, when we do the camera flip,
Okay.
you're on the other side, so I'm labeled Shelley Carney and you're labeled Toby Eunice.
Well, there is a Toby Eunice who's a woman, and
Oh,
she's
there
actually younger and healthier than me, probably, so that's okay.
So my daughter, the youngest of my 6 children and the youngest of my 4 daughters joined us last night as producer to handle the Q&A that was on the chat, and her name is Toby Renee Eunice. So, and she's just cute as a button. She's adorable. Okay,
Yes.
why don't we go to the chat room and
Okay.
And make sure that you greet. Who was it that was kind of hurt that you didn't talk about him last night?
I don't know. Did I miss somebody?
Yeah, well, we didn't do it because it was the panel, so we didn't go through the chat.
Didn't say hi to everybody
I think
individually.
He was kind of hurt
Sorry.
that his name wasn't mentioned. So
We do like to do that. Let me look and see if
are you
I
going to use your
can-
phone?
Yeah.
If you're going to use your phone, I'm going to look at your iPad.
Then I can sit back a little bit.
Okay.
Where chat? Oh, I need to change it to the live chat. Okay, here we go. And our moderator Joel Lewicki's here. Hello. The Straight Mustard, lady from New Mexico. Man in the Barn, hello and good afternoon. Paul McGinty, good evening from the UK.
Hey, Paul.
David Dow, hello. T.I. Mattis, good afternoon.
And is Mary Green in? Because they're related.
Axarvin is here. Hello.
Hey,
Nebraska
Axarvin, make a
backwards.
note about how your YouTube channel is going.
JL, greetings and salutations. Ryan Lowe, hello. Hello. Steve Smitherman, hello. Virgil Kane, hi from Iowa. Looking forward to this chapter. Okay. Should be getting some good questions going on.
Susan Heckin liable.
Yes. Jimmy Fast is here.
T.I., thank you very much for thanking the mods.
Yes.
We appreciate them, and we're glad that you in the room do too.
Journeyman, hello.
Oh, Steve Geghagen's in for a live chat. Hey, Steve.
Steve Gaghagen.
Great comment yesterday. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Amy Smith, hello.
Hi, Amy. Go Hogs, is it?
Jeremy Milstead, good afternoon. Okay, Susan Hagen-Leibel. What I see in this chapter is Forrest Fenn talking about cold morning again. Also interesting that he uses the word path with direction, right past, and street names. I agree.
Jimmy Fast, I love pineapple upside down cake too. It's my favorite. I love making it for my birthday. So I want to go back to a comment.
David Charles Davio, hello.
Sea monkification. Hey, brother. Could somebody write down what a fried pineapple pie is? I have no idea what a fried pineapple. I thought he was talking about those little packaged pies that you buy at the store. You know, the crust, and they have cherries or blueberries.
Right, like they're like turnovers or I think it's like that. Only it's got pineapple instead of cherries or apples.
Are those fried?
Yeah, fried pies.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's what he's talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because the crust is broken, so she'd just stick her thumb or her finger in it and it'd be broken. He is also telling us he can carve rocks. Yes, we talked about that a little bit last night, didn't we? Steve Gaghagen wants to know, is there a first street in French in Temple?
Oh, I don't know. There is a first street. I do know there is a first street. I don't know if there's a French street in Temple.
Somebody
go
look
to
that
Google
up.
Maps. Google Maps, go to Temple, and you can actually see the plot on which his house used to sit. But the only thing that's left is the concrete staircase.
Jimmy Fast says, why did Fenn walk to school when his father had a parking spot in the front of the school?
Right.
Very observant. Thank you.
So that was one of those why questions we asked. Why didn't he go to school with his father? Now, I could understand a teenager not wanting to drive to school with the school principal, as the school principal drove up into his parking spot and you'd have to get out. The other option is, and I'm not sure, I don't have any evidence of this, I don't remember exactly, but it could be that his father was still principal at the elementary school and not a teacher and or a principal at the junior high school, the central junior high school.
The other option might be that his dad needed to be there perhaps an hour earlier for school to get ready for the day, and
principal duties.
And Forrest may have had additional chores he had to do at home before he could leave for school, and he didn't want to be there a whole hour early, so that could be an option. Plus, he wanted to walk past that pie factory, maybe get a pie. And Jeremy Milstead agrees that he may have had to be there early. Sea Monkeyfication says, because it builds character. And I have to agree, I always had to walk to school as a child, and it's good exercise. It kept us from getting fat, right?
Some of us, yes.
Unless we went by the pie store on our way, I guess.
An average person is in. Hey, an average person. Did you say hi to Bill Gorman?
I did not.
Hey, Bill. Bill Gorman. He's just chatting away on it. It's almost like he's talking to himself sometimes. Oh, okay. So Bill Gorman says there is a French street. The only bakery is on 2nd. So the question is, Bill, is that bakery between his house in Temple and the junior high school?
And sometimes they change the name of First Street. I heard this. What's the most popular street name in the United States? It's 2nd Street, because often they change the name of First Street to another name like Main or Central or Broadway or something. So that's a possibility.
So as Steve Gaghagen notes, there's 48 people in the room. We could use some more likes right now if you just click that like button, assuming you like it. I don't want you to force yourself to do this, but click that like button.
So Virgil Kane says, Toby should know that military people will leave coins on lost soldiers' tombstones.
That's true. And other objects. There are soldiers that were acquaintances of mine that died in Vietnam that were buried in Arlington National Cemetery. And I would occasionally go visit them and leave them an object of an indication of respect and affection.
Mm-hmm. But Fenn actually pushed the nickel into the ground.
Into the ground.
That was his idea. Right next to the tombstone. So you have the rock, the granite, and then you have the treasure right next to
Okay,
it.
so
Look quickly down.
remember I asked everybody early on in the presentation if they would write down the 5 words that they discovered or that stuck with them. Just 5 words, not phrases, not billets, not wooden frames. It has to be words that were in this chapter. 5 single words. Put them in a comment and separate them by commas. I just want to see how we saw this, how each of us read this chapter, okay? So.
Hello, Phil. And he says, if I were a Spanish teacher and had a kid grinding rocks in class, I would kick them out, especially if they were doing it every day, not very subtle. I suppose so. And Toby and I were talking about how kids today can type really quickly with their thumbs, because when they were in school and they had their phone, they had to put them under the desk and type. And then you just figure out a way to keep it from the teacher.
Yeah.
And they do, kids today and kids back then. We like to do these things with our teacher around. It's a thrill, right? Maybe it was Fenn's real grandma.
So here's an interesting comment. The straight mustard loves the name of an average person. I like that. That's very good.
Wouldn't carving wood and rocks make a mess? I would think there would be dust, rock dust, below his desk every time he'd get up if he was grinding rocks the whole time.
The impression I got was that he kept the rock grinding process, the pebble grinding process, in his pocket. I think he did it in his pocket.
Oh.
You know, what? Alan K. Thank you very much, Alan, for the 1999.
Well, let's see what he says.
Oh, he's got...
he's got an explanation, too.
Thanks for the Osborne Russell info earlier this week. iOS forces the 99 cents on mobile. Is that why? Because that's what's happened to Denise Bagley.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
I know, it's weird.
I can't imagine that YouTube, this adding Smart Chat to iOS devices was the part of the announcements they made on February 23rd, and they rolled it out with the same speed. I wonder if they know that there's this strikes me as a glitch because they don't do that anyplace else. So.
But thank you.
Anyway, thank you for the $9.99. We truly appreciate it. And thanks for the info. He says, thanks for the Osborne Russell info earlier this week. So thank you for the...
that was fun.
For the nice present.
Yeah.
Noisy. Ryan, I didn't see it. I don't remember seeing the word noisy in the chapter.
Apple, the apple.
Oh, the noisy apple. Brown was mentioned.
It didn't sound very appetizing either. A dry sardine sandwich and an apple, a noisy apple. Didn't sound very appetizing, but we know that he had food, so he wouldn't starve. So, but what he really wanted was Fritos and a Coke. So.
Okay, here's an image for you guys. Steve Gaghagen says he feels naked.
About what?
Because he let his uncle borrow his Thrill of the Chase, and he still has it.
Oh.
Get that back and get some clothes on.
That's why Toby has 2 copies of the book.
And you have 1, so between the 2 of us, we have 3 of them. Actually, what happened is I bought my first, and bought it off Amazon and paid a fortune for it to do it. And I started writing it right away. And Fenn had signed it in the October book signing, and made a very nice dedication to me in it, et cetera, But then I started writing in it, and I thought, well, this is not going to have any value later in life. So I went down to Collected Works and bought another one, and then had him sign that one at the next book signing. So,
and then he wrote in that one.
And then that was accidentally. And then one day I took it out and I started writing it. So all my Thrills of the Chase. As a matter of fact, one day I'm going to put my Thrill of the Chase with all my notes on eBay and auction it off.
Right after we find the treasure.
Right.
Then maybe you can figure out where we found it. Aha!
Good one.
So Steve Gaghagen says to everybody, 46 people watching, only 4 likes. Come on, people, hit that thumbs up. Thank you, Steve. So the straight mustard walked 15 miles up a hill in the snow and crossed a lake to get to school, and I bet she didn't have any shoes either. Because that was always part of the story, right? With no shoes.
So David Charles Davia says marbles, game, circles, perhaps hinting at a compass heading. I'm starting to wonder, based on the research that we did in the for the presentation of last Tuesday, if there may be some of that in there, David Charles. I don't have any evidence that it does, but I'm starting to wonder.
And hello to Eric Schmidt. Better late than ever.
Hey, Eric.
So David Charles says marbles, the game, circles, perhaps hinting of compass heading.
I just read that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was reading, so
Yeah.
sorry.
Stay with the program here.
Well, okay. I'll listen better this time. I'm sorry. I was grinding rocks.
I was grinding rocks.
I was grinding a rock.
And yo-yos.
I got a rock. It's Charlie Brown.
I mean, those are pretty challenging. Whittling yo-yos and toy tops that's pretty challenging stuff. So.
Is it? Have you done it?
No, because it's pretty challenging stuff. I always just used a lathe.
Wow, yeah. I don't know. He's very good with his hands. I mean, he tied flies like the wind, apparently. There's a lot of things he's done with his hands. So, of course, casting bronze and making wax molds and lots of things. So he's got some dexterity, or had when he was a kid. Anything else you see?
T.I. Mattis closed her eyes because Steve was naked.
Okay, Amy.
Okay, Amy. Little naked Steve, and now Amy's peeing in the woods, for God's sakes. Where are we going with this?
My goodness. Let's have some more wine, I think. We're having quite the party here. Used to peeing in the woods.
This is going to screw up our monetization, you know.
We just won't get too crazy. Okay, David Charles Davio's 5 words are the drawing, circle, Spanish, school, hinting about the depression, sad sandwich. Sad sandwich.
So that is not David Charles. That is not 5 words. 5 single words separated by commas.
I think circle, Spanish, school, and the sandwich.
So I'm gonna give you mine. Nickel, pie, apple. Oh, wait. So nickel, pie, apple. Oh, capitalism. Capitalism stuck in my head because I couldn't.
The apple or the pineapple?
Pineapple. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Nickel, pie, pineapple, capitalism, and there was one on the first page. What was the first page? Oh, marbles. So those were my 5. The nickel. There's something about the nickel.
Okay. And Bill Gorman has insulted me by saying I lack imagination. I do not.
Okay.
I'm a very creative person, and Toby will tell you so.
She is a very creative person. Bill, we're not going to have any of our moderators knock you out, okay? Just stay in the room, but behave yourself. Try not to insult Shelley.
See?
Amy Smith changed love, not live, so let's go back.
Fenn was 13 in Spanish class. It's also how old he thinks. From Matt.
Oh, very nice, Matt.
So he's stuck in that year.
Which would be in 1943.
And what does that tell us? Spanish, Miss Ford, marbles.
Age of 13.
Yeah. Selling. He was very happy with himself and started to learn to like himself at that age. So, yeah, I think when we first learn that we are capable, it's pretty exciting, especially for a person to realize that they can take care of themselves. They can make their own money. They can buy their own lunch. They can stand on their own 2 feet. I think that's an exciting moment for people.
T.I. Mattis says, Libras never lack imagination. I'm one.
See?
I have to tell you, T.I., every woman of any consequence in my life has been a Libra. My first girlfriend, I'm not going to go through the list. It's going to sound really bad.
They're all girls.
My first girlfriend, my first wife, my second wife, my third wife, the daughter that required more attention than all the other people all the other children in the room, and my current partner. Libras. I don't know why.
Because he loves to take care of people, and Libras love to be taken care of.
Huh. You think that's
why.
It? C-Monkification. AGK, when will Bill be your special guest? He can dish it out, but can he take it? You know, we're going to try and get a panoply of searchers. Panoply of searchers that we interview, and it could very well be that sooner or later we get to Bill Gorman. But I think at that point, I'm not sure if it's going to be a panel or just me and Bill, mano a mano, you know?
Yeah, he's already insulted me, so I'm out.
Yeah. So, see, that's what you get, Bill.
So, the straight mustard. Spanish to me represented New Mexico as the search state. I like that.
Deborah Jensen asks, AGK, is the map from The Thrill of the Chase still available anywhere? Thanks for your chats. Deborah, the original... So there's the map that was in the book, and then as you can see behind me over here, the poster-sized map that was distributed, but that was a limited edition. I think they only printed 100 of them, if I remember correctly. Actually, it's marked on the map. I should go look at it. But Benchmark Map has published Benchmark Maps, the folks that were responsible for the first ones in Too Far to Walk and the poster, do have available a smaller poster version. I think it's 11 by 14. And if you contact Benchmark Maps, and it's much less expensive than the original poster-sized one. And I don't know if they're autographed, et cetera, but they do have copies of the poster map in a downsized version that you can order directly from them at Benchmark Maps.
Fibonacci says his 5 are marble, nickel, sandstone, Spanish, grinding. Sandstone stuck out for me too.
Was that one of the words
the
that you liked?
sandstone slab that he used? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That and the tombstone, that he would put the nickel by the tombstone, the sandstone, this... what's going on here?
Yeah, Lori, I think there's part of it. I'm a Capricorn, so I think Libras to me are always intriguing. Like they're like, I think my response to them is, oh my God, would they really do that? Because I'm very pragmatic and practical. Libras are adventuresome, I guess is the best way to describe it. And so I'm always looking at them with awe, I think. And then I'm attracted to them. Not my partner, I'm attracted to because she's my partner. She's happily married. So, but the ones that I've married and dated. What was that?
It's my ring. I'm married.
The Libras that I dated and married were always like that. It was, I think if you looked it up in the book, I don't think Capricorns and Libras work out, right? They're in different, like Libras are water.
Yes.
Yeah, and Capricorns are earth, so together they make mud. But for some reason or the other, I was just attracted to them, and evidently they were attracted to me.
Straight mustard. I thought about Spanish land grants off of public lands.
So, yeah, it would be the problem with Spanish land grants is that they are still Spanish land grants. They, when the federal government started marking out the land, they realized how much trouble it would be to take those Spanish land grants away from from the people that they were granted, to whom they were granted. And so the Spanish land grants are still, for the most part, in place. Now, some of that property has been sold, but northern New Mexico is filled with Spanish land grant property, as is southern Colorado. And to some extent, you can find it in Arizona and California as well. But no, there's more Spanish land grant property in New Mexico than I think any other state. Because we were here. Oh, Joel Lewicki, my 5 words. Age, 1943, rock, sidewalk, and grave. Wow, very stony kind of words there.
Ryan Lowe is also a Capricorn. We're just learning about everybody today.
We'll form a little Capricorn club, Ryan, you and me.
Does Sea Monkeyfication wants to know, does anybody know of Fenn's relationship with benchmark maps and how that creative process went, boundaries, etc.?
It was a publisher's relationship. Now, Fenn has people that he engages to do the publishing part of this. He gives them ideas, what he wants. I don't doubt that he wanted a map in Too Far to Walk, because I think it expanded the search area from the mountains north of Santa Fe all up into the Rocky Mountains. He was surprised that it stopped at Canada. So it was obvious that the person, his publisher, the person working with Benchmark Maps to make this happen, and Benchmark Maps were making some decisions independent of the author, but that's not unusual. The author always has the final say in the matter, but what they do is they talk to their publisher, and the publisher talks to the map maker, and they work it out. They get as close as they can to what the author envisioned, and then they present it to the author for approval. And I think that's the point at which he realized, hey, you guys only went as far as Canada, because the Rocky Mountains go further than Canada. I don't think necessarily it was, I think that was okay with Fenn. I don't think it was a big deal that they had stopped the Rocky Mountains in Canada, or the map at Canada. So there is some involvement, but it's not, I'm going to sketch it out for you.
And then the Straight Mustard gives you the link.
Oh, Lori says Libras are air. Are you an air?
Well, as a person, I'm a water, but as a sign, I might be air.
Okay.
She's probably right. I don't know. I
What
haven't
do air
studied
and
that.
earth make?
Balance.
Oh, is that what it is?
I mean, the air and the
Oh,
earth.
okay. I get it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's balanced.
Let's see. Gag Higgins is Sagittarius.
Do you think there is an equal importance with the drawings? Oh, the drawings. Between the two drawings?
You know what, David Charles? I'm still not sure. I thought it was curious, again, that that this is the only case of all the drawings where they used part of one to make the second one, or vice versa. I don't know which. So I don't know. The fact that
Not really, because I mean, look, jump starting the learning curve, right?
yeah, it's redone.
It's the same thing.
Well, yeah, but it's the same thing. This is the only one that was, quote, enhanced, unquote.
Well, if they were standing there, they'd get in the way of the title.
So you think it was opposite, that they did the one on the bottom, page 33, and then erased it for the title, and then didn't add a subtitle or a postmark.
But there's no subtitle. What are you talking about, subtitles? Oh,
Subtitle,
there?
yeah.
Okay. My backyard. Well, that's just telling you what the picture is, right?
No, because the pictures all have captions.
Central Junior High.
Exactly. So this one doesn't have a subtitle
Well,
or
No
a
Place for
postmark.
Biddies doesn't have one either.
Oh, subtitle?
Right. And they don't have a postmark either.
And they have the same, do they have the, look at the graphic.
No, it's a different
Different
graphic.
graphic. No postmark. Oh. So No Place for Biddies, and maybe there's something there. I'll have to go back. Go back and find all the chapters that don't have postmarks and or subtitles. See if there's any kind of connection. But let's not do it here because we have an audience to take care of.
All right, let's take care of you.
AGK
See,
Fenn has
Capricorns, they love to
mentioned.
take care of people.
Yeah, Phil, his exact words were, well, not his exact words, but what he said basically is, read the book, read the poem 10 times, and then go back and read the book slowly. And then at some point he mentions there are hints, there are a couple of hints in the book that will help you with the clues in the poem. So yeah, that, and we're always looking for those. And based on the conclusions we came to on Monday, we think that the hints are few and far between. We don't think there's a hint in every chapter any more than there's an aberration in any chapter. We think there's Toby and Shelley. I don't know. How many hints do you think are in the book?
In the book?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a numbering thing, because it could be like Ford if Ford is a hint, it's in there how many times? So do you count it each individual time, or is one, or I think it's you have to look at the big picture, like he said, look at the big picture, and then put all the pieces together and line them up. And do you count the pieces of a puzzle? I don't know. You just make sure that they're all there. That's what you do.
So that's a Libra's response. The Capricorn is going to tell you he thinks there's 3 hints in the book, right? Because it's got to be something to look for. Now, it may turn out that there's more than 3 hints, but I'm going to have to assume that he says there are hints in the book. That's plural. So there's got to be 3 hints in the book. And what I'm looking for is the point of commencement and the point of beginning, hints that help me with the point of commencement and the point of beginning. And if you don't if that doesn't sound familiar to you, go back and watch our Tuesday show.
Please.
Please. Please watch it. Jeremy Milstead says Teachers with Ropes has a slightly difference in the illustration too.
Or
Like a reused illustration.
Did you... Air and Earth make a dust storm.
Seamonkification, he says, he didn't say it was, he said the hints were not deliberately placed to help the searcher.
Hello, John Bobbitt. Good to see you.
Hey, John Bobbitt, how are you doing? Nice to see you. You're in thinking mode today? Okay, guys, I think that's it for this chapter. I know it was a short one. Did Bill start misbehaving there, man of the barn? Yeah, I don't want to quite throw him out yet, but unless he gets pretty virulent. So he's just a funny guy, and I like having him around. There he is. Bill, you've set off our mods, so just be careful.
They're like little landmines.
Yeah,
Don't step on them.
Don't step on those mods, because they will come at you, brother. There's Paul Order Rubenstern. Paul, Mountain Daylight Time. You always show up at the end of our show. We want you to be here from the beginning.
We had
so
a
you can
time
enjoy
change over the weekend.
John Bobbitt says, yes, I think you guys know where it is. John Bobbitt, I assure you, I can, with a high level of confidence, I can tell you we have no idea where it is, because if we did, we wouldn't be here. We would be on our way to Sotheby's in New York City with a treasure to capitalize on it, to liquidate it at the auction.
I wish we knew where it was.
You know what?
Even Cynthia says she doesn't know where it is,
and she's been
everywhere.
Four times more than we have. She's been on over 100 searches, and I imagine when she goes to Yellowstone, she's going to do the same thing here in New Mexico. I'll tell you what. I know what the drive from Albuquerque, and she's not far away from us in Rio Rancho. The drive from Albuquerque up to the mountains north of Santa Fe, it's a 3-hour drive. I mean, by the time you get to where you're going, and she was doing that daily, right. And then coming back on the same day. So that's a hell of a lot of commitment.
And she was getting home around 5 in the evening.
Yeah, we do.
So
she was
going
probably
super early.
Yeah, we do a month's worth of planning just for one trip. We've got a trip planned at the end of the month. We started planning that trip at the beginning of this week. So it's not like we're driving up there every day.
Actually, we've been planning it for a while.
True.
We know where we wanted to go. I think, did you read the sea monkeyfication? Hints must be deliberate in the book, otherwise why would he make reference to them in the text after the poem?
Well, he says they weren't deliberately placed. He's very clear. More than once after that, he said the hints were not deliberately placed in order to help the searcher. My sense is that when he's described how the hints are placed, it was an afterthought, that he wrote things that after he went back and read the chapter or looked at the book, he realized to himself, oh, hey, that's a hint. He says they were not deliberately placed, meaning when he wrote that part of the book, he didn't specifically place hints in there to help us. But then when he went back and read the final product, he looked at it and he says, that could have been interpreted as a hint, not deliberately placed.
Amy Smith says 33. She thinks 33 is important. I don't know what 33. Where are you finding 33?
Bami Ba. That's a very famous Vietnamese beer. 33 beer.
Okay.
You want 33? Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of some of the things you say. Do you want in that language? Hi, Adam. Good to see you.
Ba. If you ever get to Vietnam, they literally, that's still the most popular beer in Vietnam. Ba Mi Ba. Ba Mi Ba. So it's 3 times 3, 10, 3. So, but it comes out 33 beer. We drink a lot of that. Then I drank a beer for a while called, in Vietnamese, it was American Pirate, which wasn't a real compliment, I guess.
JC, how much do you think you'll get for it at auction? Enough to pay the taxes.
Yeah, hopefully enough to pay the taxes. So because you have to pay taxes on earned income, but I'm sure somebody could correct me on that. We're thinking in the 5 to 8 million range because we think it'll have value to somebody. One of the things that has come up is maybe it should be donated to a museum. Well, the problem with donating it to a museum is a museum's not going to, it's a donation. You don't get anything out of it except possibly a tax deduction. So our plan is to have it purchased by someone who can afford. So if you're buying a chest, if you're an Arab oil prince or a Russian oligarch or a...
Probably the Russian. They seem to follow us.
Exactly. An Austrian banker. Those are all, or an Australian cattle baron. Those are all people with enough money not only to purchase the chest, but if they choose to take the tax deduction associated with donating it to a museum. So we're going to let them donate it. We think 5 to 8 million less taxes, both federal and state taxes, which are going to be a little bit higher because it's unearned income.
So the reason that Paul was late, he had to put the kids to bed.
Oh. Where are you? What is that?
He's in Sweden or...
Sweden?
He's in the UK. He's over in Europe somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think Sweden. And he wants to know, did you have any thoughts about the old gray-haired lady? Why doesn't she have a name? Could she be some kind of Blaze? He doesn't always give a name.
And the other thing too is she could have been like other parts of his stories. She could have been a compilation of figures. She could have incorporated his grandmother, his mother, the lady that did sell the pies, other older women that he was I don't want to say that he was attracted to, but that he that he respected. So it could be a compilation, and maybe in the compilation she doesn't have a name.
Please explain the degrees on the map from Benchmark, Deborah Jensen.
The degrees on the map are not degrees. They're declination. Well, they are degrees, but they're declination. They're magnetic. They're indicators of magnetic declination, and those numbers are what you would use if you were following a compass and you had to correct your compass to have an accurate perspective of what true north is. Now, there is. What people don't realize about compasses is there is no such thing as true north. And the reason is you're using a compass and you have to correct it by the magnetic declination. So that's what they're there. That's what they mean. Why they're on the map, Good question. They don't need them on a map. I think on the later versions of it that were published, the smaller poster-sized version that I was talking about earlier, they're not on that version. But those are magnetic declination. The weird thing about magnetic declination is they reassess them every 10 years or so, and maps have to change. They have to change the number. You know, if you open up a map down in the lower right-hand corner, they'll give you a number for the magnetic declination for that map. It changes every time they republish that map. But at a minimum, it has to change every 10 years because the Earth's magnetic, what do you call it, the magnetic shield changes that often.
Paul is from the Faroe Islands.
The Faroe Islands.
Faroe.
It sounds familiar, but I don't know. Is that off the Faroe Islands? Is that between England? Is it between England and Europe or further south?
I think we've seen it on a map when we were looking one time.
Oh,
remember?
you don't know where we saw it? So you've gone to our blog.
Yeah, because we looked it up.
Because we that's interesting.
Right?
So Paul, I can tell because I can't imagine we have more than one viewer on our blog. So one of the ways we can look at the statistics on our blog is where everybody's coming to visit us from. And the Faroe Islands had popped up on that list. So
we looked it up at that point in time to say, where's that at?
That must have been you. We didn't recognize it. So we know where you are.
Between Scotland and Iceland.
There you go.
He felt like an architect drawing this project. Drawings, pictures, must be important.
Your thoughts. Anything is possible. I don't have any thoughts. Magnetic declination. Yes, Brian.
I think just pictures just shows you what's in his brain when he's thinking about these stories.
Between Scotland and Iceland.
And Susan says, I think a drawing is important, but not sure if it's a drawing in the book or a drawing on a rock cliff, like a petroglyph.
Susan, don't get Bill Gorman started, okay? You're going to get him started. We just got him settled down.
Right, settled down.
I don't know. Did they toss him out of the room? Maybe he just got pretty rambunctious and they had to toss him out of the room.
Well, thank goodness for our wonderful moderators, Jimmy Fast, Man in the Barn, and Joel Lewicki. We appreciate you guys so much for keeping an eye on our chat and keeping it civil and fun and a safe place to chat. It's very important to us to build our community and have our community be a safe place to express your opinions, but without fear of being attacked or made fun of. So thank you guys so much for being here and for doing such a great job.
Except for Bill, because he just asks for it, doesn't he? Adam Foddy says, have you got your next special guest lined up?
We have sent out some emails and we have high hopes, and Cynthia is actually helping us as well to try to round up a guest. So we appreciate her efforts on our behalf, and we're looking forward to finding out who says yes first.
Right, and that's what it boils down. And it won't be a yes. You'll be the guest and nobody else. What we'll do with everyone is see if we can line them up, a couple of weeks out, so that we don't have to line up people every week. So, and again, if you have a suggestion for someone, and I think I would like someone who's been boots on the ground at least once, so that they can share in their experience, because we want to hear about that. We want to hear what they're doing and what that boots on the ground experience was for them. So, any recommendations? Bill started his live feed. Did he? Did he get mad at us? He took his live feed and went home. Bless his heart. Bill is live himself. Well, when you guys leave here, go visit him and harass him. Talk about rocks and pictures and
how he has no imagination.
Yeah, tell him he doesn't have any imagination. He's a funny old guy, isn't he?
Oh boy.
But you got to love him. Is he doing YouTube? Oh, he says we ignored the Willie Mammoth. Does he have his Willie Mammoth mask on? Is he doing it live? Isn't he funny?
All right. So
I think that's it, huh?
The clock on the wall, I see we've been just a little over an hour, and that's probably enough for book club for today for a short chapter.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you all being here today. So I think at this point in time, we're going to finish things out.
Yes.
All right.
You can close it up.
Do
We're
we
not
have
going back.
another
Don't
slide?
forget. I don't
Oh.
think so. Oh, we do.
I'm sorry.
You know what we have? I think. We have the.
Where to contact us at, or anyway. So
Hold on.
as I have said, I do have a new video out today called what did I say it was? We Need to Talk. So if you've ever had to have a conversation that is like a confrontation or something that you knew would turn into an emotional event and you shied away from it because you didn't know how to exactly deal with that, this topic today covers some steps to follow to have that emotional conversation and have it become productive. So that's released today on my channel at www.thesofterside.me. Please take a look and subscribe. And again, I do have a Patreon channel, and when I hit $100 per month, I'm going to start doing live Q&A on that as well. So I appreciate you taking the time to check that out.
And don't forget to give us a thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up today and show YouTube that we are a viable product.
Oh,
and
David
a
Charles
great
Davio.
community.
I have 35,000 miles to my site, 14 days to go back, 8th trip, 1,300 miles. One way. Love you guys. Well, David, let's do let's do a panel with you. Some of your contact information, we'll talk about it. Future panel guests would like to see Dale. Yeah, we would too. So we are planning to keep. So what I'm trying to do is build. Ryan, this is in response to Ryan's question. So Ryan, what I'm trying to do is build a panel that is consistent, generally speaking. And what I mean by generally speaking is, Mike can't be with us next week, and Sean can't be with us next week. So, except for me, it's going to be an all-female panel. Cynthia, Shelley, and Toby Renee. So what we're trying to do is build up I like using this word, building up a cadre of panelists that are always available, sometimes one or two of them, and sometimes 4 or 5 of them on the panel, and then a guest that we have for that particular panel, and maybe sometimes a particular subject. I kind of like it when we just have questions that we ask the guest, rather than saying, okay, it's going to be on the blaze. So we've only done this a couple of times now. We're refining the technology and making sure we're correct with that. And I'm trying to refine the model, the programming model, which includes me as a moderator, panelists there, depending on, Cynthia and Sean and Mike Howling. And then I've asked Brian Eagle, who's on today, but he's on vacation. I've asked Brian Eagle to be our producer and handle the incoming questions. So, but he couldn't do it because he's on vacation this week with his family. That's why I asked my daughter, Toby Renee, to do it. So we're trying very hard to kind of, I don't want to say finalize it. We know we have a programming template. What we're trying to do is ensure the integrity of the model that we're using. And that's coming slowly but surely. So I think, and don't call me Shirley.
We're perfecting it right now. It's seeing what works, what doesn't work as well, and focusing on those things that people like and respond to, which seems to be the panel asking questions of the guest. And the panel tries to ask those questions that encompass the idea, the mindset of the audience, so that not all of you have to ask the same question, so that we have it 100 times. Instead, we have the panelist ask a question that covers that topic fairly well, so that you hear that from the guest, the answer that you were looking for.
And the straight mustard, Jody, if that's you, I do remember that conversation. And that was at a time when we were dealing with the podcast style of it wasn't a panel, it was a podcast style. There was not going to be any video. We decided we didn't like that, and then we started developing this style. So send me, I think I got an email from you today, but if that's not you, although I think it is. Let's talk. Let's start exchanging emails. And if you want to be on in the next couple of weeks, we can do that. If you're interested in doing that, all you need is a laptop with a camera and we prefer a headset. As you can see, we had problems with Cynthia last night because of the style headset she was using. We're open to anybody and everybody who's interested in sitting as a guest on the panel and taking the questions from the likes of Cynthia, Sean Dodson, Mike Cowling, Shelley, and myself. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you so much for watching today. Again, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, share our videos, and help us to grow. Did you have something else? No?
I'm happy you're my partner.
Oh, yay.
You Libra, you.
You Libras. We are very, very creative, aren't we?
Yeah, you are.
Anyway, thank you so much for your comments and for all of your great thoughts on Chapter 6 today for The Thrill of the Chase, the My Spanish Toy Factory chapter. And again, we'll be back next week with Chapter 7. And I don't know what it's called, but Toby's going to find out next week.
Chapter 7 is Me in the Middle.
Me in the Middle. It looks like we have a lot of photographs.
Subtitled Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. All right. We'll have that next week. And tomorrow, tune in around 1 o'clock. We'll have our recorded Just the Facts, where Toby and I will answer a frequently asked question. And again, we'll be back next Tuesday with our regular live stream, and next Wednesday for our panel show, next Thursday for book club. We're getting used to this now. And then at the end of the month, we are going to go on at Recon. So, you know, we may have to interrupt our programming just a little bit that week.
Drone footage.
But we appreciate you being here and sharing your ideas with us. And for Gypsy's Kiss, the book club, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.